We're excited about starting another season. I can remember a couple of years ago when Edith Royal said that this time of the year, just grab and hold on, the roller coaster starts over. And that's about what happens in our business. First, the most asked question in Texas football history is who's going to start at quarterback. And I wanted to assure you that Colt McCoy had hung in there as a starter, for you who are wondering, and that he's doing well and will start on Saturday. Opening games have so much excitement about them, anxiety, anticipation. You look at the passion kids have because they've waited so long, and there's still this element of unknown because we're still not sure about those positions that we weren't sure about after spring practice, because until you get them out on the field against somebody else, you're never really sure how people will respond or react. So we've talked to the kids about they'll start building memories on Saturday for this team, for our fan base, for our coaches, and for the rest of their lives. And whatever you put on tape on Saturday sticks. It sure doesn't go away. We also want to thank all the people that have worked on the stadium so hard for a full year to get it ready for Saturday night. I know it'll probably be Saturday late before they get it ready for us, but it looks beautiful, and I just can't imagine how it's going to look next year when we have the upper deck on it. But with all the rain this summer, with all of the heat since that time, we talked to our players about them walking out on the field and practicing so hard, and then you think about the guys up there on top of the stadium with that heat bearing down on the cement. They've done a tremendous job, and we appreciate that. Game plan for our opening games are usually determined during the first quarter of the game, because you're really not sure who you're playing against till you see them out there. You can look at last year's film, and it helps you to a certain degree, and we'll talk a little bit more about Arkansas State in a minute. But usually you go in with a basic plan, and then you have to add or subtract from that plan as you go. And the other thing is that opening ball games are usually determined by turnovers and kicking game. The one game that we've lost here in the opener was kicking game, because we had the 3 block punts against NC State, or we would have had an unblemished record in opening ball games. We did feel like Chip Robertson really came up with an idea this summer that we talked to the players about last night, and they were 100% with it, because President Johnson has meant so much to our state, our country, and our university, and Lady Bird, our First Lady, who we just lost, and the Johnson family has meant so much to all of us. We're going to put a wildflower in their honor on the back of our helmets for the full year, because no one has done any more for our country, our state. Love Texas football. Coach Royals talked to me about countless stories where he and President Johnson sat and talked about our team and our quarterbacks and all that meant. So Chip Robertson came up with it. Obviously, the influence that the First Lady had with wildflowers across the country. So we thought it was a great idea. Obviously, the President was very involved in civil rights back in the 60s. So it's something that George Wynn presented to our team last night, and our team was 100% unanimous that they thought that the Johnsons should have a place on the helmets. Ken Rucker is in the hospital now. He will have his operation today for prostate cancer at about 1:30 this afternoon. They expect him to be in there about 3 hours, and hopefully we will get a call from the field that everything's gone well, and that he is doing fine and will have a full recovery. He will not be out this week or next week for sure. We're not sure, in talking to people, how long it will be before he returns to at least our meeting room so he could talk to his players. But he did meet with them last night, and he had a good long meeting with them and assured them he would be okay. And I did ask him if he wanted to address the team last night, and he said, nope, let's get ready to play. So Ken is going in with a great attitude today, and we wish him a full and speedy recovery, and our prayers are with him, as we said. And he does want to be a role model for others who have the same disease and are scared and fighting. So good for him, and we're for him. Steve Roberts is the head coach at Arkansas State. This is his 6th year. He's done a tremendous job there. Most of their staff has stayed. You look at what they do offensively. They use a lot of different formations, and they run the ball very effectively. They have won 11 of the last 12 games when they've rushed for more than 200 yards. Last year, in 11 of their 12 games, they had the ball more time of possession than the other team. They averaged more than 33 minutes per game. So that's who they are. Their staff hasn't changed. They're going to come in here and try to run the ball and hit some play-action passes because they've got a great quarterback. But they'll be very, very physical in the running game as they come in here, so it'll be a great challenge for us to start the season. They're also a team that kept the ball 33 minutes at Auburn last year. So they've played at Auburn. They're playing at Tennessee this year. They play in a stadium like ours every year, so they will not come in here intimidated. They know what it's like to be here, so they'll be excited about coming in. They're basically a man-to-man defense. They have one great safety, but they feel like that all 4 of their secondary players will be drafted. And they've been a team that likes to play you man-to-man and try to stop the run and force you to throw and make you beat them in one-on-one situations. So we feel like that this will be a great challenge for us to get the season started. Guys are excited. We'll have a full 2-hour practice today, and then we will back off as we get more near game time. Looks like the weather is going to be great for Saturday. Questions?
Now, you talked about having a basic plan going in. What's the plan for Childs just going in?
What we would do is plan on playing Colt as the quarterback, and John would be in a backup role. And unless some things change, John, between now and Saturday, we would not play him the 3rd series of the game like we have in some other situations. We would just let Colt be the starting quarterback and John's the backup quarterback. And he would come in as needed.
Coach, could you address the receivers and getting them back? Are we at that point? And also address your depth at that position?
Well, John will release the injury report if he hasn't already. And Lamas is probable. Jordan is doubtful. Billy is out. And you start looking at what you do. We may not know till Thursday, because they haven't practiced a lot. So what we are planning on doing is just playing the younger ones. We would start, Nate and Quan have had a great camp. They have been amazing. All 3 young guys have played well, but on the Z side, you would play Brandon Collins and James Kirkendall. So we plan on them playing this weekend. Then you've got Montre Weber. You've got the ability to move Tyrell Gatewood over because he's practiced some at receiver. And then you've got also Malcolm Williams, who we're planning on playing as well. Philip Payne's still got a pull, so I wouldn't anticipate him playing. He's probable, but he hadn't practiced very much. So we just think we got to go ahead and play. And the other thing we're doing with our 2 deep is some of the freshmen, as they've gotten closer to game time, would rather redshirt, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. It was interesting last night talking to a few of them that we thought might want to play. I looked at the depth chart a few minutes ago, and there were 15 freshmen or redshirted freshmen in that top 45 or 46. So it's interesting that we have some real experienced guys, played a lot, and some really young guys who haven't played any. So there's a lot of differential in age on this team. So we've asked our older guys to take over and help the young guys and let them grow, but especially that backup offensive line.
Coach, what about Jamal? What do you think would be his average carries? How many times do you expect him, since he's the man this year, not?
Yeah. What about Jamal's average carries? I think it totally depends on what he can handle. Again, you can't determine those things in a preseason practice. He's 210 pounds. He's in great shape. He's done everything he should do. And everybody wants him to carry it more. No one wants him to carry it more than me and Greg Davis and him. So if whatever he can handle, he'll carry. And if he can't handle that, there's a point there, and you'll probably know Saturday when we do. So if he's not carrying it anymore, you'll know he's had enough. But he's done everything right. He's prepared himself well, and we're excited for him. He deserves to have a chance to have a great year because of the way he's worked. We've gone back and had studies that John will give you over our team over the last 9 years that we've been here. We've looked at every season. We've looked at basically every carry offensively. Jamal's been a little better out of the shotgun than he has from the eye. Part of that probably was Vince, if you look at it, so it's hard to tell. So there really hasn't been that much differential. I think it's 6.5 yards per carry out of the shotgun and 6 yards per carry out of the eye, and those are both pretty good. So he's had a great start over his 2 years. Our expectations just got so high with him. after his freshman year. But we've gone back through every game, see how many yards we've passed it for, how many yards we've run it for, turnovers, how many yards passing we've given up. So we've done that for each team, and it's amazing the consistency. We've only been in the negative with turnover ratio one year, and that was our first year. We were -3, and last year we were +9. What we did find in looking at our team over 9 years and looking at college football over 9 years is pretty simplistic. Most important thing is either scoring offense or scoring defense, period. So our goal will be to score and keep them from scoring. We're not going to concern ourselves as much about how many yards we get rushing or how many times anybody touches it. We want to score. And then you get into rushing defense and total defense and turnovers being the other categories. So as much as I've talked about running the ball, and as important as it is, it's not near as important as stopping the run and making sure we force turnovers, we protect the ball, and scoring on offense, and making sure that we keep them from scoring.
How excited are you about the defense, especially the front four?
Well, we're really excited to just be around Roy Miller and Frank Ocam and Derek Lokey is exciting for the passion, the ability they bring to the game, the leadership they're showing. That's fun. In fact, we'll have 3 starters there. They'll all 3 play interchangeably, and it won't matter which one's out there. And it's so great to have Derek back, because we lost a lot when we lost him at Nebraska last year. Secondly, when you start looking at the defensive ends, Rack played a lot last year. Aaron Lewis made some tremendous plays, so those guys have experience. They're filling in for 2 great guys that played for us that are in the NFL. We're seeing now in all the preseason games with Brian and Tim. But we see Lamar Houston and Eddie Jones, who haven't played very much, backing them up. It'll be fun to watch them on Saturday.
What are you expecting from your DBs against a team that you say likes to run? What do you want to see from your DBs?
Well, their quarterback is really athletic, and anytime you have a team that's rushing for 200 yards a game, what you expect out of them is play action deep. So they'll have double moves, they'll block everybody and have one-on-one situations, especially with our inexperience in the secondary. So it's time for Ryan Palmer and Brandon Foster to have their opportunity to play. They've played some for us, but they haven't been in a prominent role like they are now. You start looking at the safeties. Those are older guys. Eric Jackson's played on special teams, but he hasn't had an opportunity, so he's got his opportunity Saturday. Marcus Griffin's back as the old head. Drew Kelson will be a rotating starter in that group. And then you've got Deion Beasley that's coming on, Shockey Brown, and some of the freshmen, and we'll just have to determine when and how the freshmen play when we get there on Saturday.
Will your linebackers work in the same way where you really rotate a lot, or do you have 3 definite starters?
Well, you've got 4 definite starters. The 3 that we know, and then Roderick Muckleroy. He's just had an outstanding camp, and we're pleased with him. And we lost so much when we lost him last year with his torn ligaments in his finger, and now he's come back and playing as a starter. And then you would have either or Jared Norton in the middle, who will play, and then Dustin Ernest will play, and we'll just have to decide whether Keenan Robinson can play or not. Whether he can play, whether he will play or wants to play, or we don't want to play a freshman unless they're going to have a prominent role.
Coach, who's going to return punts and kickoffs?
Quan right now would return both.
And Coach, this is the first game of the new kickoff rule. Could you just talk about the impact you foresee in the game and how that affected your decisions that you made both as the kickoff and the return?
Yes, we're looking at the new kickoff rule like everybody else. We're very fortunate to have Larry McDuff, who has been in a league where they kick it off further back than we do, and very few people kick it out in the NFL. It's amazing how many times you watch an NFL game and everybody gets to return it. So Larry brings a lot of expertise there for us, and we're still not sure what we'll see Saturday. We've worked on it a lot. We worked on it Thursday hard. We worked on it Friday just about the entire practice, and we'll go back and start working on it today. In fact, this morning Larry asked for more time. He and Mike Tollison for kickoff return and kickoff coverage, and we had a long discussion this morning about whether you should defer now and take the ball to start the game and start the second half. And the obvious answer is if you can stop them on the first drive, you'd still rather have the ball. You'd rather stop them, get the ball, score, and start the second half of the ball. That hasn't changed, but it'll probably depend on when and the strength of the opposing team's kicker.
Mack, how does the mood change now that these guys have had a couple days off and you're basically into the season.
They were so exhausted in talking to them last night that they slept and watched TV like I did, I think, but watch film and watch TV all weekend. But that little break gives them even more motivation to get started, because they know when you're through with preseason and you kind of put a little X through it, especially seniors, that's their last college preseason ever. And now their work over a full year comes down to starting against a team they have no film. They have last year's film, but no new film. They're not sure what they'll do against them. It's a fun week for them, but and then you go to the freshman from the senior class. He survived his first preseason. He starts school on Wednesday, so he'll be in college for 3 days before he plays in his first game if he plays. So a lot of emotions going through them this week, but I ate dinner with Colt last night after the meeting, and he just said, well, I can't wait. You know, it's just, and his life is different than it was this time last year. He's got a lot more answers, and there again, with answers, probably he feels more pressure to be a great leader out there instead of just be the starting quarterback.
We'll take a couple more questions.
How are you planning on spending your birthday today?
Oh gosh, my birthday has always been spent in two-a-days or in practice, and what I'll get home probably at 8:30 or 9 and eat dinner with our children, and that'll be my birthday. So I'm just glad I made it another one.
Coach, with the anxiety and anticipation that you mentioned, I'm sure comes with every year, how is it different for you to manage this year with so many freshmen and young players?
Making sure that we just try to get them to a point where they understand what's about to happen. You know, you can tell them, and we've got the older players talking to them this week. We've tried to go through enough of the routine schedule that will happen before they start Friday and Saturday. But it's fun to watch them because it's a life's dream for them, and everything's new, and you know, they're looking around, they're really excited. So it'll be fun to watch them. We've just got to make sure that they grow fast with our team, because we do not want the older guys that are playing really well to have some things happen in a game because inexperience is in there. So we've asked these guys to grow up fast that are going to play.
Any more or less anxiety for you every year? Is it the same year after year?
No, I was thinking about that this weekend, Mike. I think it's the same. You know, I really do. Last year I didn't feel good. So I was battling a bad knee and trying to prepare for a season, but I really am as excited about Saturday as I've ever been. It's like we've never won a game before, not starting over, and that's the thing we've sold to our team, is to earn the right, start back over, and make sure this is the first year of Texas football. And we told them last night, what you put on film on Saturday night will be there for the rest of your lives and ours, and your children can pull it up and see it too. So you need to play good, and our responsibility as a staff has not changed. We want to help this team be the best team it can be, and we'd hope that it could be one of the best teams in Texas history if they play well.
Different unknowns and injuries don't affect you?
It is what it is, and you do get used to it. We're going to have injuries, and when you don't have them, you look back and say, I don't know, we didn't do anything different. We're so lucky. And when you do have them, they are what they are, and we have no control over them. Doctors and trainers tell us exactly who's going to play and when they're going to play, and a lot of times they don't know, so they miss it too. So we probably won't know till Thursday's practice, and in some cases even Friday's warm-ups with some guys in the past. And I've just learned that if a young man is injured, you plan on him not playing, and then if he does play, it's a plus. But if they walk out there before the game and tell you can't play, then it's not disturbing to you, or it doesn't set you back. What you got to do is always stay positive.
And Linus is probable?
Yes.
We need to go to the Big
Thank
12
you,
conference
Coach.
call.
Thank you
very
guys
much.
and ladies.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.